When people ask me when things started to change in our neighborhood, I always say it was the summer after my youngest graduated from high school. That was the year the Cascade Grove HOA banned strong-smelling foods at communal events. It doesn't sound like much, one little rule, buried in a stack of summer updates next to lawn height reminders and recycling bin colors. But for us, it meant more than that. We'd lived in Cascade Grove for 22 years by then. My parents bought the house when I was in college. Back then, the neighborhood was still mostly made up of families like ours, immigrants who came over in the late 70s or early 80s, some Chinese Vietnamese, some Lao, a few Cambodians, all trying to build something better. You'd hear Vietnamese on the porches, smell Bun Mam in the evenings, and every autumn, people would hang red lanterns and put out trays of mooncakes on their doorsteps. It changed slowly, like things always do. A new wave of younger, wealthier families moved in, and they brought with them Teslas, sleek landscaping, and next-door posts about keeping property values high. I'm not saying that's bad. I mean, progress is progress. But there's a difference between trimming the hedges and trying to cut the roots. Anyway, that summer, the HOA organized a big community cookout. They called it the Summer Harmony Fest, which made my daughter laugh. Harmony for who? She asked, eyebrows raised. I told her not to be so cynical. It's a chance to meet the new families. You should come. But she was leaving for college in 2 months and already pulling away. It was me, my husband Vin, and our neighbors, the Ta family, who did the real cooking. We planned the menu the way we always had: grilled teet nun, skewers of lemongrass chicken, and my mother's famous Bun Mam, fermented fish noodle soup. Yes, it smells, but it tastes like heaven. Earthy, sour, funky, the kind of flavor that takes you straight to Cho Lon, even if you've never been. The day of the cookout, I was in the clubhouse kitchen heating up the soup when I saw one of the new HOA board members walk in. A woman named Courtney, blonde, very tall, always wearing gym clothes, even when I never saw her at the gym. She sniffed the air, wrinkled her nose, and said, "Oh my God. What is that?" I looked up from the pot and smiled politely. Bun Mam. It's a traditional noodle soup, fermented shrimp and fish base. Her face twisted. That's intense. Is it supposed to smell like that? Yes, I said simply. She didn't respond, just turned and walked out. Later, I heard her talking to someone on the phone by the playground. It's like someone left seafood in a hot car for 3 days. I didn't say anything. I just kept cooking. The party itself went well at first. People lined up for our food like they always did. A couple of older white neighbors who had lived there for years told us how much they missed our spring rolls the year we skipped. Even a few of the new folks came over, looking curious. One guy, tall, kind of nerdy, said it smelled wild but good. His kids loved it. Then, about halfway through, someone complained. Not to us. Not to our faces. They went to the board. Within a week, the HOA sent out an email titled, Clarification of Food Guidelines for HOA-Sponsored Events. It stated that going forward, all food at community events had to be non-disruptive, non-offensive in odor, and approved by the board 2 weeks in advance. That was the first time I heard the phrase, culturally sensitive food planning. It was ironic. I didn't want to make a big deal. Vin said, let it go. We don't need to cook for them. But it felt like something broke. Something small, maybe, but real. A week later, I ran into Mrs. Duong, who used to run the Vietnamese language school at the church, and she said, I heard about the soup. Just like that. She looked sad, like someone had died. I asked, should I say something? She gave a little shrug. If you don't, who will? So I went to the next HOA meeting. It was held in the same clubhouse where we'd served that soup. I sat in the back row while Courtney stood up front talking about inclusive scent profiles and neighborhood unity. I waited until they opened the floor for comments. I didn't yell. I just stood up and said, I've lived here longer than most of you. I've brought food to every summer event since 2002. I've watched your kids and grandkids eat bowls of my mother's recipes and ask for seconds. You say this is about smell, but it feels like something else. Something deeper. Courtney responded with a tight smile and said, we're just trying to make the space comfortable for everyone. I said, I am everyone. A few people clapped. Most stayed silent. Afterward, a couple neighbors came up and whispered that they agreed with me. Whispered, like it was a secret. That told me everything I needed to know. The next year, we didn't bring food. Instead, we hosted our own party. Just a small one, in our backyard, with the Ta family and a few other old friends from the neighborhood. We grilled, we laughed, and yes, we made Bun Mam. You could smell it halfway down the block. And you know what? One of the new families came by. Courtney didn't, of course. But her neighbor, the tall nerdy guy, brought his kids again. He asked for the recipe. I smiled and said, it's complicated. You have to be patient. He nodded. I've got time. And just like that, maybe things started to shift. Not fast, not loud, but like soup simmering, deep and slow.